Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. So, we have finished till topic 12. Today we are going to do topic 13. That is, from today we are going to start weed science. So, it is relatively little bit bigger topic. So, we'll discuss topic 13, that is weed science, into 5 to 6 lectures. Most probably 6 lectures, and discuss everything which is important for UPSC in weed science. What is weeds, their characteristics, their control methods, biological controls, chemical control, integrated pest management, integrated weed management, and what is crop weed competition, how they interact with crops, everything we will discuss in this topic, that is weed science, in 5 to 6 lectures. That is important for UPSC. So today we are going to discuss topic 13a, that is of weed science first lecture. Topic 13a. So what are weeds? Any unwanted plant. We all read it from quite a long time. Unwanted plant grown in field other than crops. Farmer means weeds are those plants that has grown in the field. They are competing with the crops, but the farmer doesn't need that crops. The farmer hasn't planted farmers, that is economically not available for the crop. That is not providing any economic opportunity, any economic benefit to the crops. So that types of crops are known as weed. It is unwanted plants that are not wanted by the farmer. Hope you all understood. Now, what are different types of weeds? Different weeds. First of all, there is parasitic weeds. It depends partially or fully for its growth to host plants. That is, parasitic weeds cannot grow without host plants. They depend on host plant either partially or fully. But obligate weed, they're cropland weeds, incapable of surviving in wild community. So they are not capable of surviving in wild community. They will not be able to survive in wild areas. They are mainly cropland weeds. They can only grow with crops in croplands. Objectionable weed. These weed seeds, when mixed with crop seeds, is extremely difficult to separate. So these weeds or the weed seeds, after mixing with normal crop seeds, are very difficult to separate. They're not able. We will not able to differentiate which of them is weed seed and which of them is crop seed. So this is called objectionable weed. Coming to noxious weed. This is undesirable community, difficult to control. These weeds are the most difficult weeds to control. Noxious, you will apply pesticide, they will die, and after some time they will appear again. That is what noxious weeds is very difficult to control. Moving on to next types. Facultative weed. native wheat. These are wheats of wild community. Wild community wheats escaping sometimes to cropland. So these are wheats of wild origin, but sometimes they escape to croplands. Alien wheats. We all know what alien is. Wheat not of a native country. Not of a native country. Associated wheats. Non-parasitic wheats. From the name associated, you can confuse that it is associated with the crops, but here it is not it is not parasitic. The association of parasitic wheat is different, but it is not associated. It is associated to crops, but it doesn't depend on crops partially fully. Okay, non-parasitic associated with a specific crop. Here, for it, like parasitic weeds depend on crop for its survival, but associated weeds don't depend on the particular crop for its survival, although they are associated with some crops. That is, they are seen mainly with some crops, but it is not like parasitic that it is dependent for its survival. Okay, hope you understand it. Satellite weeds. That has weeds that has become integral part. Weeds that has become integral parts of crop ecosystem. So these are the some common types of weed. Now going to some of the common examples of weed. So examples of common Indian weeds. They're annuals, that is for one season, 1 year, and we've also got perennials. First we will discuss annuals. Common annuals are barnyard grass. Barnyard. It is also called Echinoclea cruscali. Echinoclea cruscali. And then we have got wild oat, Avena fatwa. I hope you all know it. Avena fatwa. Then we have got underline the biological names. It is very important. We have got canary grass. Canary, that is why canary grass, that is Phalaris minor, a common weed of wheat. We have discussed in earlier classes about Phalaris minor. We have got goat weed, that is Ageratum conijoides. These are some common annual weeds found in India, and these three are monocots, while goat weed is a dicot. Remember it. Now moving on to examples of some perennial weeds now. Perennials. That is 2 seasons or 2 years. We have got Cynodon ductilon, its common name is Bermuda grass. I hope you all have heard it. We have got nut grass, that is Cyprus rhodantus. We have got dayflower, that is Commelina bengalensis. So these are some Commelina bengalensis. So these are some common perennials. These two are monocot, while dayflower is dicot. And all of these weeds I think you have seen somewhere. They are commonly found in native areas in India, but as we are not able to identify it, we don't know it. But if you are able to identify, you will know that you have seen all these weeds. They're commonly found in around you. Now these were weeds, their types, their examples. Now going on to benefits of weeds. Yes, weeds are beneficial also. They are source of resistance. Some uneven climate, some disease and pests also, they are source of resistance. For example, you can write wild grass has conferred resistance to braid wheat from cold weather, cold tolerance. So due to presence of wild grass in the fields of braid wheat can tolerate cold weathers. So that is why their source of resistance. The fodder value of wheat is high. Some weeds you have seen about Haryali. There is one more, field bindweed. Field bindweed. These are some common good fodder weeds for milch animals. Wheat can act as green manures, mainly weeds of legume families. Legume family weeds good for green manuring. Medicinal value. There is a weed known as Leucas, Leucas aspera, that is commonly used as snake bite in tackling snake bite, and this is commonly used by some tribal peoples. That is Leucas aspera. We have got Calotropis procera. Calotropis, PIS, Calotropis procera. It has been highly used in gastric troubles. It is also found to be help relieve acidity of our stomach. These are some common benefits. Moving on, there are some other benefits of weeds also, like Cyprus rotundus, used in making agarbattis. Agarbatti, that is Florence stick you have seen used in pujas or worship, that is agarbatti. We have got Andropogon, Andropogon species, commonly used in aromatic oils. Then we have got Imperata, it's Imperata cylindrica, and Taifa elephantina. These are used in making huts, thatching roof of huts. As you can see it from name, Imperata cylindrica, it is cylinder in shape like this. It has long fibers of cylinder shape. And we have got Taifa elephantina, we can say elephantina, that is long. They are big sized weeds, so they are commonly used in thatching of huts, roofs of huts. So these are some of the common benefits of weeds. Now after benefits, we need to see what are the major losses due to weeds. Losses from weeds. First of all, yield loss. A non-agriculture loss in India Agriculture loss in India due to presence of weed is 33%. It leads to 41% reduction in rice, yield reduction in rice, 16% in wheat, and 40% reduction in maize. Crop pest and disease incidence as weeds act as host to some pathogens. Poor quality of produce. There is a weed called Aegineta indica, Aeginita, Aegineta indica, and one more weed that is Striga leutera. That reduces, these two weeds reduces the quality of sugarcane juice. The examples are very beneficial. You need to remember and keep these examples in mind. They will fetch you very good marks. If you substantiate your answer with examples, you will say definitely got good marks. Keep making notes. Weeds also lead to human health problems. Allergic reactions. We have got hay fever. Some pollens of some weeds cause asthma also, etc. They also lead to animal health problems. Lantana camara, a very common weed found all over India. It induces hypersensitivity to lights. When animals eat this weed, Lantana camara, they have to face hypersensitivity to lights. They are not able to differentiate lights, differentiate colors. Some animals also see vision problems after eating Lantana camara. Water contamination problems. Water contamination problems. Some aquatic weeds such as typhi species. Typhi species. In common name it is called cattles. They cause water contamination, reduction in land value, if land is infested by perennial weeds such as we have discussed Cyperus rotundus, Cynodon, Doctylan, etc. This makes the land very unsuitable for crop production. Crop production becomes very difficult in these lands if the weed has infested the land for some years, especially perennial weeds, because they are very tough to control. So these are some of the harmful effects of weeds. Hope you all understand it. Now one question was asked in previous years, that is, what is difference between relative weed and obnoxious weed? So I'm going to discuss it. What relative weed and obnoxious weed? What relative weed is? It has some economic value. It has economic value in particular place, but when it is grown with other crops, it become unwanted and referred as weeds. But when normally it has economic value, but by accidentally they grow with crops and become as weeds. There is not so difficult to control. Difficult to control. Eradication is very easy. Same thing. Eradication is easy. It is actually crop plant, but it has grown with other crop plants such as rice in wheat. When we are growing wheat and some rice plants have grown, they will act as wheat. Jute plant in rice. We all know that jute plant has economic value, but it is seen in West Bengal regions. But sometimes by accidentally they grow in rice fields. There they become wheat, but normally they have their economic value and they are easy to control. So these is what relative weeds are. Now moving to obnoxious weed. As we know, noxious weed hard to control. They are similar to noxious weed. Difficult to control. Difficult to control and eradicate. These are not crop plants, not crop plants, but special weeds. Example of obnoxious weed can be prostrate spurge. Its biological name is Euphorbia maculuta. This maculuta. Another example you can give of common mallow. Common mallow, whose biological name is Malva neglecta. Sorry, this is small name. Malva neglecta. We need to neglect this common mallow. So these are the difference between relative and obnoxious weed. Hope you all understood it. Now moving on to crop weed competition. What is crop weed competition? Very important. Asked several times. Crop weed competition. I am telling you before, so make clear notes. It's very important. When weeds and crop both grow in same fields, mainly weeds when grown with crops, they start competing with crops. For what they compete? For nutrient, water, light. While competing with crops, they reduce crop yields. This is what crop weed competition is. I hope you all understand it. So for what they compete it? For what these two compete? We will discuss here. First of all, there is for nutrients. They compete for nutrients. Naturally, weeds absorb more nutrients than crops. Always keep in mind. For example, you can give Echinocoloa 60 to 80% of nitrogen from rice fields if not eradicated. There is one more weed, that is nutsage. It increases population of denitrifying bacteria. What denitrifying bacteria does? It converts available nitrogen that is available in soil for plants into normal nitrogen which escapes to atmosphere. So due to denitrifying bacteria, the nitrogen in soil are converted into other forms so that they can escape into atmosphere. So what nutsage does? It increases population of denitrifying bacteria, so as the nitrogen escapes and converts themselves to unavailable forms, then it is very difficult to plant to absorb them. They also compete for water. water uptake more by weeds as their transpiration ratio is high. Transpiration ratio of weed is high as compared to crops. So when the transpiration ratio is high, obviously they will uptake more water. For example, you can give off Cynodon dactylon, that is a common weed. Its transpiration ratio is 813. You can see it is so high, 813. That is why wheat absorbs more water than crops. Now moving on to other factor, that is for light. We know some weeds, what do they? Shade growing crops. Example, you can give up Celosia urgensia. And one more example, there is Amaranthus viridis. What these two do? They shade groundnut. Shade groundnut. For CO2, most of weeds are C4. Therefore they deplete more CO2. They use more CO2 compared to crops. As we all know that C4 plants use more CO2. Some weeds also show allopathic effects. We'll discuss in detail in coming lectures what allopathic effect is. So they release some chemical which affect the growth of the crops with them. Example, you can give of Ambrosia pretostaica. So this is how weeds compete with crops, and this is what crop weed competition is. Now moving on, what are the principles? I will discuss integrated weed management in detail in coming lectures, but I am discussing right here now because there was a question, what is crop weed competition, and in the same question there was principle and describe the principles of integrated waste management. So that is why I am discussing together. Suppose if the question is repeated, because UPSC is a bit similar, they doesn't even change the language in agriculture optional many times I have seen. So you will be able to find these two at the same place in your notes. And for integrated weed management, we will discuss in detail in coming lectures. We all know what integrated weed management is, using of chemical, biological, natural, etc. methods together to control weeds. What are the principles? IWM, that is integrated weed management, places the crop in competitive advantage from weeds by manipulating crop habitats. Manipulation by utilizing some biological differences between weeds and crops. So what weeds do, what IWM do, it places crop in competitive advantage from wheat. How it enhances crop in these two competition? Through crop habitat manipulation. From utilizing biological differences, we know how wheat is growing fast, how crop is growing slow. So we'll use the differences in crop advantage and tackle weeds. IWM measures They are to tackle or to reduce weed survival mechanism in soil. We are discussing principles of IWM, that is integrated weed management. We have to use proper crop cultural practices to eliminate especially parasitic and perennial weeds. Example, crop rotation. We all know that parasitic weeds are dependent partially or fully on crop. So when you grow same crop again and again, what the parasitic weed will do? It gets attached to the field very much. But during crop rotation, if the crop is changed, the survival of parasitic weed is gone. They will not able to survive. Same with perennial weeds, and due to different crop rotations, the perennial weed is not able to compete with different crops at the same time. So that is how crop rotation helps. Moving on to other principles, that is we will need to adopt eco-friendly techniques that doesn't harm environment. We use chemicals in integrated weed management, but in such a precise manner, in such that that to avoid overuse. In precisely, the efficiency of chemicals absorption is more. The chemicals are not wasted. So eco-friendly measures to protect environment. And the IWM practices should be flexible to accommodate innovations and traditional knowledge of progressive farms. This is flexible. If some new mechanism comes, some new biocontrol mechanism comes, if there is a traditional knowledge of some farmer, we need to adapt this in IWM. So these are the some common principles. These are the principles of IWM. Hope you understood it. We will discuss IWM in detail in coming lectures. Now, what are the factors affecting crop weed competition? Factors affecting crop weed competition. First of all is timing of weed emergence. If weed is emerged before crop, first to emerge will take advantage. So if weeds emerge before crops, they will be one step ahead from the crops in taking advantage of nutrients, water, light, etc. When weeds emerge when crops are young, they are the most effective. That is, they will reduce the yield at most significant levels. Because crop are young, they are still in establishment phase, and weed which has been established earlier will put some limitations on crop yield. Now growth form, that is extent of root and shoot development. If the weed's root and shoot had developed nicely and more precisely than crops, then the crop will have to lose its yields. That is why if crops root and shoot development is nicely than weeds, then the wheat will have to be the bearer of the competition. Weed density. More the weeds, more they will affect crops. This is easy. I hope you all understand it. More the weeds, more they will affect the crops. Now moving on. Duration of weed growth. This is I think number 4. That is, if weeds are controlled in first 2 to 3 weeks of emergence, 2 to 3 weeks of emergence, then they will not affect to crop yield significantly. But if they are not controlled in first 2 to 3 weeks, then they will reduce yields. No 5. Characteristics of weed species. In dry areas, perennial weeds are more competitive than annual weeds because they are settled before and the crops has not yet settled. So the perennial weeds in dry areas become very much harmful and they are very difficult to control. Characteristics of crop species. This is the tolerance level of crops. If some crops are more tolerant to weeds. Crops more tolerant to weeds will lose less yields. Less yields will be lost. Example, barley. Barley is very nicely tolerant to weeds. So it will not lose its yields. So what kind of crop it is, it also affects the crop yield competition. So these are the some common factors affecting crop yield competition. Hope you get it. Now moving on, what are the critical period of crop weight competition? From at the sowing period. If the weeds are present in the field before the sowing of crops, that is well established weeds present in fields before sowing of crops are going to affect the yields of crops severely. During the sowing period we should try to keep our field clean. Other critical phases are phase of growth. When the crop is growing in growth phase, we need to control weeds. Reproductive phase, we need to control weeds in the productive phase or the yields will be low. Because sometimes if the crop is cross-pollinated crop, then during the yield sometimes the pollen grains of weed also affects the crop. So during the productive phase we need to keep our crop free from the weeds. Also during young phases, reproductive and the sowing period, and during growth phase, these are very critical phase. Suppose a crop is of 100 days duration. So your first 35 days should be maintained weed free. If a crop is of 100 days duration, if the first 35 days is not weed free, then it is going to certainly affect the weed growth, because this is the phase of growth phase. This is the phase where crop establish themselves. So we need to keep our fields free from weeds for the first 35 days in a crop of 100 days duration. Now moving on to some examples. For maize, around 3 to 5 weeks. First 3 to 5 weeks we need to keep a weed free environment required. For rice for it is for 4 to 6 weeks, first 4 to 6 weeks. For potato it is for first 4 to 6 weeks. because this is the most important phase where they are in reproductive in growth phases, where they establish themselves. After this phase the crop is well established, then the effect of weed will be very less compared to the effect in these phases. Soya bean, 2 to 4 weeks. So these are some examples of crops where we should need to keep weed free environment. So this is the end of first lecture of weed science. For any queries, comment. If you like it, press the like button. I guarantee, keep making notes, and I guarantee that most of the questions from weed science will be from this lecture. Most of the questions from agriculture option will be from the course, from the complete course. More than 80 to 90% questions will be directly asked from the course that I am giving you, from the lectures, from the topics I am going to teach. Please share and subscribe. That's all for today. Thank you. Tomorrow we will do topic 13b, that will be also weed science. Have a nice day. Thank you.